Gonna work on a 2005 Grand Caravan. It's a 3.8, and what I need to do is get to the valve cover and the spark plugs in the back. And as you know, you can't do that without taking the intake manifold off, or you could take the cowl off like I did. And the cowl has 4 bolts that hold this in place, and 4 bolts there, and the 4 little number 10s up on the top. So you got a 13 millimeter, a number 10 millimeter, and that cowl will come off in one piece, which you can see right here. The cover to the cowl just has some torque number 20s, I believe they were. So in 15 minutes, I had that whole cowl off the top, and as you could see the whole valve cover here. I moved the power steering hose off here. This way I had a little more clearance, and it was real simple to do. And then I changed my spark plugs, and all in all that probably took me 45 minutes to do that. Now I'm going to put this back together and I'll continue the video. Now I just laid the cowl back in, and as you can see, it just sits on the 4 little screws, and then inside here you got the 4 larger screws that hold it to the firewall in the back. Once you get that in, just plug your wiper motor back in, lock it in, put your cover back on, and you're done. I'll be right back. Alright, I just put the 4 little screws in on the top, and then we put the 4 bolts back in the firewall. Be back. A couple of minutes later, and we took and put the cowl plastic piece back on. As you see, the wiper arms are off, and once I close the hood, I'll put the wiper arms back on. Now we're going to do the easy one, the front valve cover and the spark plugs. The valve cover bolts are number 8, but I had to get it's an extension, and what it does, it lets the socket pivot a little bit, because you need that to pivot going down into here, that little bit. So on the 2 back ones and the ones in the back of the motor, the same thing. Without that little pivot, it's going to be real difficult to get them out. I'll be back. Alright, got the valve cover off, and you know, it's nice and clean in there. Now we're going to just change that rubber gasket and little grommets, and I'll be back. Okay, we're back, and as you see, I got the bolts back in place, and now I'm just going to do the 3 spark plugs in the front. Alright, when you're going to do the spark plugs, you want to just turn that boot a little bit so you don't break it and it pulls off. And if you do one at a time, you don't have to worry about remembering where they go. There's only 6 of them, pretty simple, but it could mess you up. I'll be back. Going to put some new Champion ones in there. It's hard to see, but it's going to be the RE14 PLPS 5 or P5, gapped at 50 thousandths. And like I said, we do one at a time, and I'll be back. I wanted to take out the number 4 spark plug, and it was loose, finger tight. So when you buy something used, you want to make sure you go through the car and everything is tight and running good. I'll be back. Well, that takes care of changing 6 spark plugs. Somebody had a Bosch plug in here, and it looks like a 4-way split fire or something. I guess they were trying to get more performance out of the truck. But I changed them to the factory Champion spark plugs. And like I said, you do not have to take the intake manifold off to get to the valve cover. You could take off the cowl. The cowl has 4 bolts on the top holding the plastic and 8 bolts holding the metal frame on. That whole thing will come out and give you plenty of room to get to the valve cover and the spark plugs. Well, that finishes up my video for a 3.8 2005 Grand Caravan spark plugs and valve cover change out. Now I'm going to get to the throttle body, check that, make sure it's nice and clean, new air filter, and put a new belt on it. I also did a condenser. It was leaking tranny. On the 2005, the tranny fluid runs through the top half of the condenser, and on the left side is the Freon for your air conditioning. And I also put a brand new radiator in the car. This way, I know I got good cooling, good AC. I put a new thermostat in the housing here, put new hoses, and I'll put a new belt. Doing all that, the car should run pretty good, and if you maintain the oil, this motor was sludge free. There was nothing in the valve covers, nothing in the oil pan, because I did an oil pan gasket on it also. Well, hopefully this video helped you guys out, and remember, you do not have to take all of this off to get to the valve cover. I think it's a lot simpler just taking the cowl off. Thanks for watching, and watch for more videos.